But yeah, let's hit 26, and that's going to be Tales of the Empire. And as you see with Megan and Andrew, they have not seen anything with an asterisk. They have not seen. So the rest of us will just kind of give our brief views.
It looks really good.
Yeah, but Schultz, why don't you kick us off here?
All right. I personally really liked Tales of Jedi, so when this came out, I was kind of excited for it. I don't think it was as good nearly, but I don't know. It's just something kind of new and I would say refreshing. So I think that's kind of why I enjoyed it. And then seeing Grievous again was cool, and a couple other aspects of it. But all around, I mean, just was interesting to see. That's really all I'm gonna say. Because I mean, try to keep it short and simple. But
I can go next time. I was intrigued to see. I like the way they broke the kind of characters up, because we're going over Morgan and we're going over Varys. So I was interested to see kind of flesh more of their characters out. I guess questions about both, but that really only happened for Varys because Morgan's episode's kind of unnecessary. Not really any additional information we got. Like, we already knew she was a Night Sister. We already knew she was a magistrate on Corvus. And then they threw in some cameos. And then Barris. Barris's art was much more enjoyable. We got the answers. Some people may not like them, but we got the answers of what happened to her post Order 66. I'd like to know more, but they're really short episodes. That's kind of why I got it so low. But the Barris stuff was compelling enough. It's good to see her, I guess, kind of walk a different path than just Jedi or Sith. So,
well, and I think obviously the first thing you can praise about these shows, because they're right out of the mold of the Clone Wars, but the animation is fantastic. I mean, it's top notch. It looks really good. And I think just kind of going off of one of the things that struck me about this, the title of this show is like Tales of the Empire, and then like the two characters that it deals with, you're like, wait, these people are part of the Empire? Or like, I think the title's a bit deceiving, because you'd think to get maybe an arc about, like, maybe we'll get something about Thrawn before he was, in Rebels, or maybe we'll get something about, the Grand Inquisitor before he was the Grand Inquisitor. And it's like, but no, you kind of get Morgan, who's a pretty new character, who's, I guess, technically part of the Empire, but not like a major cog in the wheel. And then Barris, who is only part of the Empire because she was an Inquisitor for like 5 seconds, and then she wasn't. And it's like, so like for me, that's a big reason why it's not as high on my list, is because it's like, it's really two characters that I don't feel like fit within the title of Tales of the Empire that well. And also just, like Drew was saying, the Morgan Elsbeth stuff doesn't really tell you anything you don't already know. And then with Barris, I mean, it was kind of cool to see her story kind of concluded, because we don't see anything of her after the Ahsoka arc at the end of season 5 of the Clone Wars, where Barris obviously frames her for the murder of all these people, and that's a really great arc, by the way, if you haven't seen it. But so I mean, that was pretty good, I would say. But I talked about this earlier in the video, but we don't go through political stuff that much. But the one thing about this show that irked me was in the Barris episode. I think it's the first one, maybe the second one, where she's going on a mission with this Inquisitor to go kill these Jedi. And she goes into the town, and they're trying to get information from the townspeople. And eventually they get one of the townspeople to tell them. And they're like, yeah, they're up in the mountains. And so you go up there, they go up there to find the Jedi. And you're thinking, okay, there's a group of Jedi up here that they're coming to kill. Well, they get up there, and it's just one Jedi. And you come to find out, after the battle's over and the person dies, Barris name drops the they again. And it's basically like a pronoun thing. And they're basically saying, like, this is a they, not a he or a she. And my whole thing with it is like, it's not that being in there aggravates me. It's the context that it exists in the story itself of saying they're up in the mountains completely decontextualizes like what you know of like the English language to say they, where it's like they means multiple people. And
Right.
so when you go up there, you're expecting like a big fight with multiple Jedi, and you go up there and it's just like one kid, and
Like a teenager.
it's completely like unnecessary, is I guess the best way I'm saying it. And it's a situation where it's clear that it was put in there just to be in there, not because it actually makes sense. And those type of things really irritate me because it's like it's not organic to the story. Because like there's gay characters in Andor, and it's like they're well written and like they make sense within the context of the story, and so I'm not like infuriated by that, whether I agree with that or not. But in this one, it's like this makes no sense. Like it's confusing to the plot, and it's just unnecessary. And so that's one of the things with that specific episode where it's like a situation where I'm like, okay, this is dumb because it makes no sense. And so that was kind of another thing where I was like, I don't usually try to get into the political stuff, but I was like, this was like clearly a blatant example of like being political just to be political. And so, but other than that, I mean, it's not on the level of Tales of the Jedi. I don't think you care about these characters as much as you do the ones in Tales of the Jedi either, and I think that's part of the problem. And that's kind of why we have it where we have it. So I don't think there's really a whole lot more we can say about it at this point. But yeah, we'll jump right over into 25. And it's going to be Visions, and also I believe neither of y'all have seen this, right, Megan and Andrew?
We saw some of it. I think we watched all but one, so we saw a good bit of it.
I couldn't remember if we had.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
I just remember.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, in my head, I'd forgotten it was called Visions. In my head, it was Star Wars anime.
I'm also gonna put an asterisk next to mine because I've seen most of the first season, but I didn't finish it, and so my whole thing with this show is it's nothing negative from a quality sense. It's purely because anime is just not my thing. I respect anime. I think there's a lot of good stuff in anime. It's just not my artistic style that I like in films and shows, and so I just didn't resonate with it at all. But I appreciate the depth that they go into and clearly the respect they have for the universe. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I have it higher because it's like, it's well made. I just don't really care for anime. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I'll kind of I know Schultz is into anime a little bit more, and I'll let Drew kind of talk about it as well. So.
Yeah, I think that was a big reason why I actually enjoyed this a good bit. I have it at 20, but honestly, I think there was just so many other things I enjoyed more. So that's the reason why I put it there. But for being like anime style, though, I think they did it pretty well, especially that first episode. That first episode was phenomenal. I loved that first episode. The action was great. The lightsaber flipping and stuff was so cool. I mean, just they put their own style on it. And I think they did a good job with doing that. They brought the anime world to Star Wars. And I think they did a good job with it. I haven't watched the second season. I'm actually going to watch it soon. But first season, I did enjoy it, and it gave off like, I like that they did like different things in each episode. It kind of gave off like I don't know if you ever watched Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix, but that one's very similar where it's like each episode is a different story, different writing, different plot line, and everything.
Different art style. Yeah.
Yep, different art style. Yep. And so I thought that was really cool. Like I enjoyed that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a big anime fan, like I said, so I think they did a good job with bringing that to Star Wars. So.
I guess I kind of tried to take. I'm with Johnny. Not a huge anime fan, but I tried to take just like the story. And maybe I should have. I guess could have put it a little higher. But the episodes that are good are, they're good. But the ones that are not good are terrible. So,
yeah, there was a few episodes in there that probably weren't that great. But
Tatooine Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Awful, terrible. I hated it. But and some of the stuff didn't make sense. Like, yeah, like people are fighting in space. That's cool, but yet, then you got a droid wearing a breathing bubble. So I don't know. Some of it didn't make sense. I guess the main thing that I didn't like about it was there's no real, like, it's Star Wars content, but it doesn't add any meat to anything. So
It's kind of its own thing. So
I didn't.
It's kind of like like it would be in the EU if the EU still existed.
If I had remembered that I watched it, I definitely would have put it higher because visually it is very stunning, and the stories that are good are absolutely fabulous. But I guess probably a bad thing that I forgot that I've seen it.
Maybe that's telling. Well, it's so different than any other Star Wars content that I don't want to say it's forgettable because it's bad, but it's forgettable because it's so different than anything else that we had consumed Star Wars. So it's forgettable because it's just different. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Are you done?
No, I was basically
okay.
Done.
Visually amazing. Each individual story being its own thing is really good. Some of them were very good. Some of them are really silly and tongue in cheek. It's kind of like it's kind of like the Star Wars food court. You just kind of walk through and you're like, which one do I want to go to? Some of it's good, some of it's bad. The fact that it's kind of non-canonical, I think, is good. That way, it doesn't step on any canon toes. If that's a thing. I think it was really good. I think it was a nice fresh of breath air Star Wars wise. It just kind of cleaned the palate a little bit, kind of changed things up in a post Last Jedi universe that we're in, where everything is so like as soon as a new Star Wars thing comes out, you're just like, here we go. You know, now what? And it's fun. It's fun. You can watch it, and it's just fun. And I really liked it. I didn't know there was season 2. Season 1 was really good. We did finish season 1 actually. I think and the animators definitely have a full respect for Star Wars, and it's just cool. And 12-year-old me would eat it up, dude. Like just like the fighting and just and all the like edgy commentary. Oh man, it's great. Like it's fun. Like something that kind of itches that little kid in me, you know, because it's animated. I'm not a big anime fan. I've gotten into it a little bit later in life just because you forced me. But I'm not a weeb by any chance, and neither is she. But I think it's really cool. I want to see more stuff like that. It would be interesting if they took the concept of, hey, let's just do like individual short stories that may or may not even be canon, kind of like Lego Star Wars, you know, and just have fun with it. I think they could do more with that sort of concept and principle, but I liked it.
I will say this. I think there needs to be more exploration in the live action front for like Japanese directors or like foreign directors, because the director who did Godzilla -1, I have not seen it. I've heard it's great. I've got it on the list. I need to watch it. But I mean, he's even come out and said he'd like to do a Star Wars movie. And it's like, there's some situations like this from like, there's a lot of talent out there all over the world. And I know with season 2, they went outside of Japan and they did some other countries. And it's like, I'd love to see us collaborate more and on the live action front with those people to make better movies, because I think there's a lot of good ideas out there. So I think this is a good springboard for that, to kind of discover or maybe confirm that, hey, some of these people could really handle Star Wars really well if we let them have a bigger role in it. So that's kind of, I think that would be a good idea going forward.
That's a good point. The anime brain pool, so to speak, when it comes to writing is untapped with this particular universe. And I think there's something to be drawn from that, because there's a lot of good storytelling in anime, despite some of the, what's the word I'm looking for?
Gigantic plot.
Some of the reputation that anime can have, you know, so people hear anime and now they're like, you know, it has like kind of a reputation, but there's some really good story writing with animators. So I think that's a really good point. It's a good springboard. It could be delved into more.
Yeah. And I think if you like anime, obviously check it out. So, but yeah, let's jump into 24. It's going to be Ahsoka, and this one, I'm gonna preface the conversation by saying I think this one was highly anticipated to the Clone Wars and Rebels crowd, which would be all of us. And I think also for the fact that it was Dave Filoni that was kind of heading it up, I think we all had a lot of optimism. But I'm gonna let somebody else start because I was disappointed to say the least.
Oh no!
Yeah, shocker, right?
I
skeptic.
think obviously there's a lot of problems, and I'll let somebody else talk about those because I'm sure Johnny will. But my main problem is some of the pacing at times. I'm pretty big on pacing because you got to keep me. You got to keep me in it. If that makes sense. I love the casting of Sabine, Hela, Thrawn, and Ezra look exactly the same what we saw in Rebels. That's maybe where some of the problem lies. It's a pretty niche series, I guess. Some of that stuff is for the ones who watched all the animated series, and I think some of that leads into some things being taken for granted. Maybe that could have been explained some more. I loved the characters of Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, but I just didn't know that they fit. Like I like the characters themselves. I like the casting. I like the premise. I just didn't know that they fit in here.
In this show, particularly.
Right. The high point of the whole thing is Lars Mikkelsen as Grand Admiral Thrawn. Huge Thrawn fan. I've listened to all the books multiple times. So I got it at 21. That's kind of where, for me, the shows you start going from pretty bad to pretty good to good. So like in that middle there, you kind of almost, I look back and I'm like, wow, I didn't mean to put that so low, but there's so many, like Ethan said, so many things in front of it. This was pretty good product to me. I say pretty good, but not like Andor level, but not as bad as Kenobi. To me.
Oh no.
That's where I've got it. I've got Kenobi ranked lower than this.
We'll get to that.
This in consensus.
Dang.
I know this in consensus was lower, but my Kenobi's lower than Ahsoka is.
Yeah. I just want to start off saying I think Ray Stevenson absolutely killed his role in this show. I think that was probably the best part of the show for me, was his acting and just his character in general. I really enjoyed his character.
Skull character, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Baylan Skoll. Yeah.
Yes, Baylan Skoll. Yep, Baylan Skoll. Yep.
Making sure. Yeah, he killed it.
Absolutely killed it. Yeah, I think he did a phenomenal job. And just a little. Oh man, what is the little robot as well? I'm trying to think of his name.
Oh yeah,
Scott. Yep. No. Oh my god.
Cute droid. We'll call it cute droid.
Yeah, whatever that is. Though that was.
I know David Tennant's the actor who plays him. I can't think of the name of the droid.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Huang. No, I know it's.
I know what the droid looks like.
Yes, I know exactly what it's like. I just can't remember his name.
Cute droid.
Yeah, but anyway, regardless, so that droid, that was I don't know, another aspect of it that I enjoyed. I thought that was, that droid was hilarious. I think the show was very slow from the beginning, and so I think it was kind of hard for me to try to
Hu Yang.
Yep. Love his character. He did just, I don't know. I liked him in Rebels as well, though. So I mean, it's the character that I liked. But yeah, the show was just slow starting off the bat. I mean, it just made it very hard to get like intrigued with it. I think more towards the middle and like the end, it kind of got better for me. I love that they brought back Hayden as well. Obviously, I love the prequels. I'm a big fan of the prequels. And so bringing him back was great. I love that. I think they could have done a little bit better writing the story involving, I guess, her going to, I guess, what is it called? Not like the afterlife, but I don't remember what they called it. But
World Between Worlds.
World Between Worlds, yeah. I kind of wish they would have written that part of the story a little bit better. But I don't know, and I just kind of, the ending was mediocre to me as well. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say, I guess.
They don't, and that's. I'll just say briefly because a lot of what he said, I'm on the same in the same boat. A lot of the issues with this show is pacing, and it is an issue. And as much as I love Dave Filoni, I do think he was ill-equipped to do this in terms of the live action directing because there's an element in all of the dialogue scenes where there's like a 10-second pause between every word that's spoken. And so you get these long and like agonizingly slow dialogue scenes that drag the entire just tone of the show down whenever characters start talking because they'll just sit there and stare and then they'll say something. It's like you don't need to do that every time. And I think, that to me is clear of a director who's just inexperienced with doing that sort of thing.
Interesting.
And so it's like if that was Jon Favreau, like we've seen Jon Favreau movies, we've seen the Iron Man movies. That is snappy, intelligent dialogue. And if that was him in that situation, it would have been a different story. But because they basically let Dave Filoni do the whole thing, this is him going off of the small bit that he's learned from being, working on The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and all those. And then, to me, that's what screams the loudest is the fact that it's a guy that really, as much, like I said, as much as I love him for a lot of the good stuff he's done, he really has no business doing that on his own to that degree. Like they needed somebody in there to maybe direct some of those scenes. And then I think a lot of it's just there's a lot of interesting concepts that he brings up, but to me, a lot of it is just it fails in the execution, where whether it's poorly explained or it's just whether, like I said, the dialogue brings it down, or it's just like it's kind of a mess of a directed show. Like I think the ideas are good. The execution is poor, and I think that's a big reason why I struggled with this one because a lot of times I was pretty bored with it at a lot of points. And then there were obviously like little lore nuggets that I loved as a more hardcore fan, but it's also just one of those things where I'm like, yeah, it's clear that there's somebody inexperienced behind the camera, and I think that's hard for me to just really get into. It feels like it takes away from it a lot, and I can't enjoy it as much because I'm thinking about that the whole time. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I enjoyed it, not as an Ahsoka series, but as just a continuation of Rebels, because I think titling it and then calling it Ahsoka, I think that was a little bit false advertising. I think they knew that was what was going to draw people more than anything else. But it didn't feel like an Ahsoka-driven series. It felt more like a Sabine-driven series. And I mean, we barely saw Ahsoka for the first several episodes. The only times that personally I felt like we were really getting some Ahsoka content was when she was in The World Between Worlds. And then when she was cutting up with, sorry, what'd you say the droid's name was again?
Huyang.
Yeah, when she was cutting up with him in the ship at one point. But that was my biggest issue with it, is it didn't feel like Ahsoka was really driving the plot forward. It was more Sabine than anyone else. Of course, obviously, as a big Rebels fan, I loved seeing live action versions of Ezra and Sabine and Chopper. And Thrawn. And I really did enjoy the series, but like y'all, I was bored for the first half. It felt very slow and didn't pick up until they had gotten to the planet, found Thrawn and his zombie soldiers. But all in all, I did enjoy it. I definitely didn't hate it. I just wish that it hadn't been called Ahsoka. I wish it had been called like some variation of Sabine's character, or maybe it even just named it the Starwell Adventures. I don't know, but I don't think that it was a very honest commercialization of it, calling it Ahsoka, personally.
I'm a huge fan of Rebels, so this being a spinoff and a live-action spinoffs of a cartoon is a hard sell in any universe. So they kind of had a tall order. I really, really liked it. The actor that played Thrawn was perfect. He was also the voice actor in Rebels, I do believe. I'm not sure if he's in the audiobooks, which I've kind of gotten attached to as well. He's not.
It's not exactly the same. I looked because it was
really close.
It's pretty daggum close.
The audiobook actor for the books is perfect. The same actor that was Thrawn, he played the Russian president in House of Cards, by the way. So that was a really good casting for him. I think trying to cast Thrawn is like really tough. Like a bunch of fans sitting around a table, you're like, where do we begin? But I think they got really close and did well. I'm with Megan. It didn't feel like a show about Ahsoka. It felt like Star Wars Rebels, the live action continuation, which I don't have a problem with. I guess I just had to put a name to it. Ahsoka was probably a marketing choice. I think the actress for Ahsoka was lacking. It didn't feel like her. She's a lot more spunky, but she's also a teenager and, or a preteen really in Clone Wars. And for an actor to bring alive a cartoon character, that's tough. So I give her some grace there because that's a tough thing to do. However, I think the casting for the entire cast was perfect. Ezra looks just like Ezra. Sabine, Hera. Everybody. Chopper, perfect casting for Chopper. I mean, come on. So it was really, really good. Side note, fellas, to get some redemption from some of my previous choice, how about this? Take the concept of Balin's skull and Shin and call it the Acolyte.
I'd probably enjoy that more for sure.
So, those two almost stole the show.
No, not almost. They
did.
They stole it because I remember on the first few minutes of the episode, and anytime they're on screen, I'm glued to the show. I'm just like, that's fresh, that's new, that's Star Wars. It's familiar, but it's different. I don't know if you could drop them in a post Return of the Jedi universe, but their dynamic, whatever they got going, you could drop that in High Republic, Old Republic, New Republic, Ancient Republic, the First Republic, or the First Jedi and Sith ever, and they would have been great. That dynamic, the fact that he passed away is just absolutely horrible for the franchise, in my opinion. When he died, I was like, no. How do you recast that, man? So speaking of casting difficulty, they got an even bigger one. So hey, the Ahsoka casting people have obviously pretty good skills and ability, so maybe they can find a replacement. Thrawn's cult, I guess, of stormtroopers, his own flavor of the Empire, very interesting, very on brand for who he is. He's very Imperial, but he's not. He's Thrawn. He's his own person, but he's very, he's this military genius. I love the Chiss species as a whole, so seeing that live action was just tickling my nerd Jimmy so much. The zombie stormtroopers, great. Great callback. A lot of good moments. I have it really high. It was just really, really solid. I don't have a lot of negative things. Sabine's Force journey is kind of to me. I think it was kind of forced. It's like we need someone on a Force journey. I don't think that was needed for Ahsoka. We already have Ahsoka. Her name's in the show.
It's never hinted at in Rebels at all. And I
think it might be in the last 2 episodes for a second.
To me, it was just like you said, they just needed somebody to be that person, and they
needed that Force journey person, preferably probably a female in this writing universe that they're in. So it felt forced, but not too bad. It worked. Her and Ahsoka's tension, I didn't like. I didn't like this failed apprentice thing she kind of had going on. I didn't like that. Ahsoka knows all about failed apprenticeships. That just was weird to me. But the show as a whole, great. It should have been just called Star Wars Rebels, the show. I don't know. The Ahsoka label was just probably a marketing thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the search for Ezra, search for Spock, just throw that in there. but I really liked it. I don't have any big criticisms of it. There was some like Star Wars lore sciencey thing, like getting stabbed with a lightsaber, and then she's like healing. It's like this little bitty burn, like a little cigarette burn, and people are like, "Yo, you can't survive from that."
Poor
But
Qui-Gon
that kind of
Jinn.
stuff is prevalent in Star Wars. Like they change their laws of physics every show and episode, so we can't linger on that because it changes. It's just the way it is.
Well, but it's like
it's annoying.
We're going to talk
but it
about
changes.
this with Kenobi, but it's like Reva got stabbed in the gut twice and survived both times. So it's like
maybe she's just a tough girl. Maybe she's just tough. I don't know. But a lightsaber, come on, man. Like, so there was some things I remember. I was like, dang, she healed quick, and it was like 5 minutes, and she's like all good. So there was some things I kind of had to raise my eyebrow at, but I think that's why I have it as number 8. I just think it was really solid all around, and I love Rebels, so it was going to have to be bad for me to hate this. But Balin's skull and his little apprentice, God, that was right there. That was their own. Like I said, just take them and label it the apprentice and run with it.
the apprentice.
No, you can call it apprentice. You can throw Trump in there back in the early aughts. That'd been fun. Yeah. Number 8, very solid. Loved it. I need to watch it again. And a tattooed Star Destroyer is pretty cool too. You can't beat that because it's got that Thrawn look on the bottom.
Got the Chimera on it.
Chimera, yeah.
Yeah, and it's all like destroyed, and there's like bits on it. It's like it's been through some combat. The show as a whole had a good aesthetic too.
It has a lot of good ideas, and it's just like a lot of times you're like, yeah, you didn't quite know how to deliver on that. Yeah.
Ooh, time out. Them going to a different galaxy. I don't know how I feel about that. It's a long time ago in galaxies far, far away. Oh, plus this other galaxy that they super hyperspace.
Yeah, why can't
it's just things I'm like, is that necessary?
What I said in the reviews is I was like, why can't you just do like the unknown regions? It doesn't have to be like
the unknown regions is the catch-all for all EU stuff anyway. They went to the unknown regions. It fits. Yep. There's no hyperspace lanes there. It fits. So that was kind of an odd thing to do. It was unnecessary.
Yep. Well, I think we're actually gonna call it there tonight. We didn't quite get as far as we wanted to, but
some people talk too much, Megan. Come on now.
No, it's part of it. Like I think then when we did our other ones, there was 4 of us, and it was like we were still going like an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes. So
could we do one of these for Star Wars games, like top favorites? Because I could really.
But no, we are gonna. Whether we have to do this in 3 or 4 parts or whatever it is, we're not. I mean, it's at our discretion. So that's the great thing about doing your own channel. You can do whatever the heck you want to. So
that's right.
We are going to end it tonight just for the sake of length, and but that is only our 29 through 24. So we've still got obviously 23 left. We'll split those up however we need to, and then we'll give out the rest of our rankings. But Megan, Andrew, thank you all for joining us. We'll definitely have y'all back.
For having us. We were very excited, and we're very excited, and thank you for inviting us. This was very fun.
And if you can imagine, this is Andrew with a sore throat.
No. Wow.
Hey, we're passionate about it, and that's what makes it fun. Maybe next time we'll take some caffeine before, so we can go a little bit longer, but or maybe more caffeine than usual for Drew and Ethan. So, but yeah, I've enjoyed it, and like I said before, for those watching, please comment, let us know what you think, where you'd have these ranked, and just thank y'all for supporting us, for watching, and for joining us, and we'll see y'all next time.